It seems like every bloody body is talking about mushrooms at the moment, whether it's medical mushrooms that are there to help your mood and give you energy and clarity and focus, or whether it's microdosing to help with anxiety or depression or whatever it might be with psilocybin mushrooms. Everyone's talking about them, and you might be thinking to yourself, how hard is it to grow your own? Well, the answer to that really is how hard you want it to be. There's a whole host of different ways that you can get into mycology by growing your own mushrooms, starting from a step one, which is buy a kit online, all the way up to, you're all in, I'm now a mycologist, amateur style, where you're using fruit and chamber shotgun tamers monotubs. Now, I started in a fairly linear route in, which was, first thing I did was I ordered a kit. So you can buy a kit online of almost any type of mushroom, whether it be medicinal or slightly more naughty exotic ones, and the kit will come to you in the post, and it's a block of mycelium. So someone somewhere has done the hard work for you, and they've colonized some substrate into a solid block of mycelium. When it is in that sort of solid state and it's bursting at the seams to fruit, generally it's past all of the risk. The hard work's done, not going to get contamination in most cases, and all you have to do really is give it some fresh air, give it some moisture, make sure the temperature's within the realms of where it needs to be, and lo and behold, bang, you've got some mushrooms. There's a huge beard of lion's mane growing from the side of a box for you, and it cost you 30 quid. And that really is your first entry point. Order a kit online, get your head around it, and think, is growing it for me, or should I just buy the supplement from Holland and Barrett's? Now, your next step from that, or the next step that certainly I took, was to order what you would call an inject and forget, or an easy as fuck kit, which is essentially, it takes it one step further. So instead of getting delivered to you a block of mycelium, you're now going to take your own grain substrate mix and inoculate it yourself. So not only do you need to order that bag of kilo and a half of substrate and grain all mixed together and sterilized and pasteurized, this time you're going to inject it. So you're going to order with that a spore syringe. So that'll be a liquid syringe with thousands, if not millions, of little spores in it, and you quite simply inject that bag and leave it for 4 or 5 weeks. Now, you can do that with a liquid culture syringe, which is slightly different to a spore syringe. You'll probably get a bit of a slightly faster turnaround time from the spores, because the spores have to find each other and so forth. Realistically, you're looking at a 4-week wait, and there are things that can go wrong. You could have contamination within the spore syringe, within the liquid culture syringe. Also, you could be a grubby little urchin and not wash your hands properly, and you could contaminate the bag as you do the injection. So you've got 4 weeks of really kind of holding your breath and hoping for the best. But by the time that turns into a block of mycelium, you're now thinking, hang on a minute, I'm like a scientist. I'm growing this myself. And you will fruit those mushrooms within that bag itself. So you'll get a much bigger yield than you do with a kit. There's a bit more work, a bit more risk, but actually the reward is there because you did it yourself. Inject and forget, another really easy way into being a mycologist. And really, if you get to that point and you're still involved and you're still liking it, my next step was monotub. So I like to grow top fruiting mushrooms. So mushrooms that grow on top of a substrate. And when you get into the world of monotubs, you really are now getting into the world of how hard do I want to make this for myself? And that is where you do the same process as the inject and forget. So you get your syringe, or you get your liquid culture. This time you're just injecting grain. And then once the grain is colonized, you break it, you shake it, you make sure that all of that grain is kind of thick and white. Then you mix it in with your substrate, but in something called a monotub, if you're using a top fruiting mushroom. And a monotub, basically, it's a fancy box. It's a fancy box with holes in it, but the holes are placed in such a way that it creates airflow, and it removes carbon monoxide and brings in fresh air. It's called FAE, fresh air exchange, and it creates its own microclimate. And this really is one of the most fascinating processes that you can go through when it comes to mycology, and it is absolutely amazing. And from that point, when you really start getting into it, you can start cloning your mushrooms, taking spore prints from your mushrooms, making your own liquid culture, even creating your own bank of cultures in Petri dishes. and then you never have to buy any more syringes, you never have to rely on those genetics, and you can start pure breeding your own mushrooms whenever you like. So if you want to take the first step, there's a few links in the comments. I'm not sponsored by anyone that I'm linking to. These are just people that I've used in the past and I think are bloody good. Let me know if you're going to take your first step. Let me know how you're getting on, and hopefully I'll see you at the monotub stage.